By the end of this video, you will learn how to convert the Figma image component to HTML CSS component in 5 easy steps. Step 1. So let's just go ahead and create the testimonial section. Here, if I click on the Figma dev mode, what you notice is the space between each of the testimonial images is set to auto. This happens because we have again the flex set to justify content space between. This property allows the elements to be pushed all the way to the end. Also, what we notice is this is center aligned, which means we have a testimonial, and if I click on the parent element, we have the section, and the parent element is basically the auto layout that wraps all the testimonials, and it is center aligning them in the middle. So let's just go ahead and select all the images on the testimonial, export them all as PNGs. So I have exported the images. So if I select them, it's on my other screen, I can simply drag them to my image, and then here in my image folder I have all of them added. Step 2. So what I need to do is basically create the testimonial section. Here after hero section, I would create the testimonial section. Also, what we need to do is basically copy the testimonial and add a class, which is testimonials, and press tab in our keyboard, and then here you see the testimonial is created. I do want to convert this into a section, and inside the testimonial we would have our images added. So if I navigate back to the Figma dev mode, here we have the section, and then if I go ahead and copy the CSS on the right side, we notice that it is set to display flex and align center. So these are the two properties that we care about. So if I go back to Visual Studio Code, all I need to do is basically select the testimonials in the CSS, right underneath, paste the properties, and wrap them in the CSS class. So here, I would just add another section, which is called testimonials. And then right underneath that, I create a class called testimonials as well. Open the curly brace and cut all of these inside the testimonial. And I don't need align, self, stretch, or gap, or even flex, basically column. I do want to center align all of them. And if I go back to Figma, here we see that we have created our section with the CSS. If I now click on the testimonial, we have again set display to flex. We have a width, which is 621 pixels to make sure that it is center aligned, and as well as justify content between. So here I'm going to copy all of these as well. Go back to the Visual Studio Code. Inside the testimonial, I would create another section. So basically nesting sections inside sections, or you can have it as a normal div if you want to. And then here I would just paste the CSS, and right now I have the width set to 621 pixels, and I'm happy with this. So I would save the CSS changes, and all I have to do is go back to the section. Since I created a div, if I go back to CSS, here we have testimonial section and the div. So inside here we would create a div, and inside that we would have our images. So img, which is stand for images, and now all the images have a source. So here I would just write // go to the images, and then select all the images one by one, which is one password. And then for the alt, which is the accessibility, I would just copy that one password and then just write logo. I would hold command and duplicate this multiple times to basically update the image path again from one password to Amazon. Also update the alt to Amazon logo, and repeat the same steps. So I'm going to fast forward and update all the images one by one. So I have updated the images one by one, and as you can see, the path is correct with the image name and the alt tag, and we are repeating the same structure, which is the section, and then inside of that we have a div. And if I go back to the CSS, here we have the testimonial section, which is set to center align, and then inside that we have the div images, which is set to 621 pixels, and we are center aligning all the images. So if I go ahead and visit the browser, here we are able to see the images. Step 3. However, what you notice is there are two issues here. We don't have the 48 pixels of margin bottom added to the section here. So we can fix this one first. If I go back to basically Visual Studio Code, instead of adding the 48 pixels of margin to every single section of our HTML, what I can do is remove that and go to the body all the way to the top, and then right here create again a CSS style and set that to display of flex, as well as flex direction, setting it to column, and then finally add a gap of 48 pixels. By doing that, each time we add a new section, we don't need to add 48 pixels of gap between our sections. So here we have our hero section, we have our testimonial section. So what I'm going to do is basically copy that and add the navigation section to the top. So here you notice that every time we add a section, we have to add a 48 pixels of gap. If we select the body, which is the parent, and set it to display flex and setting it to column direction and adding a 48 pixels of gap, This way, if we add a new section, we no longer need to keep adding 48 pixels. It automatically adds that for us. So if I go ahead and visit the browser, here you see that we have the spacing added already for us. Step 4. However, what you notice is if I click on the testimonial on the browser, and let's just go ahead and zoom in a little bit more so we see the Chrome Inspect panel a little bit larger, the testimonial is working and we are setting the display flex. However, it's not actually being spanned all the way across. If I go ahead and visit the Figma file, and if I try to zoom out, you see that it is actually spanning all the way to the end of the screen and is being center aligned nicely. In order for us to fix that, all we have to do is basically go to the testimonial section and add a width of 100% by going all the way down and visiting the testimonial. And then here we have to make sure to add a width of 100%. This way we are telling the browser to make sure to span the testimonial all the way across. On top of the 100% width, we have to also change the align items into justify content, or you can keep this and simply duplicate that and add another property which is called justify content. This way we are making sure that our elements is center aligned both on the main and the cross axes. So now if I go ahead and visit the browser, now we see the testimonial is spanning all the way across and we're adding basically align item center and justify content center as well. Step 5. However, what you notice is the quality of the images is a bit low. The reason is a bit low is because we went to Figma and we actually copied and exported the images, which is low resolution, and they're scaled down. So what we can do is we can go ahead and visit the Figma design mode and go ahead to the pages, and here we have the starter page, and in the starter page we have all these images again with all high quality sizes. Here if I click on any of them, they are basically larger in size. So what I'm going to do is basically select all the images that are larger in file and then scroll down, export the layers, and since I have all of these images added, what I can do is basically click and drag them from my other screen and then drop them in the images. And then again, Visual Studio Code tells me that you already have these images. Are you sure you want to replace them? And in this example, yes, I do want to replace them because they are higher in quality. So here I have to keep saying I do want to replace all of them. And once they're all replaced, now I can visit the browser. And what you notice is the image quality is better. However, the issue is the sizing is a bit off. So now I can go back to Figma and go and visit our website and switch back to the Figma dev mode. And then here I can scroll down, let me collapse the pages and all of these and select the image. Here you see we have the images which is set to rem, so let's just go ahead and switch it to pixel. What I do notice is the width is a bit variable, however the height is set to 18 pixels, which means now if I click on the Toyota, the height is again 18 pixels, the width again is variable. So if you want to fix that, you don't need to keep on adding the height to every single one of the images. What you can do is basically set the width auto to all of them and making sure the height is set to 18. So if I go ahead and visit Visual Studio Code, under testimonial, we have our image, which is nested inside the div tag. And now inside of the div tag, we select all the images and we make sure the width is set to auto, which means automatically calculate the width of the image. However, the height of the image, we would set it to 18 pixels fixed. And now if I go ahead and save this and visit the browser, here you notice that the images are higher in quality, except one of them, which is a little bit pixelated, which is fine. You can always find a higher quality image in terms of the resolution and replace this one. But for now, I'm just going to keep it as is. But we managed to fix the issue, which means we exported the images with a higher quality in size and we replaced the lower quality images. Moreover, we added the width, which was again width of auto, and we scaled the height back to 18 pixels. So this way, all of them are now 18 pixels in height, and the width, which is auto, is automatically calculated. What you notice is the order may be wrong. So if I go ahead and visit Figma, we have again Snowflake, Toyota, 1Password, and then it follows by Amazon, Uber, and Figma. In order for us to reorder it, it's basically simple. In HTML, all you have to do is basically visit your images and move the HTML tags around. So here we have Snowflake. So what I would do is hold Option on my keyboard and then just move it to the top. And then we have Toyota next. So I would just again move Toyota up. And then we have 1Password, Amazon, and then Uber, move it to the top, and then finally Figma. And by reordering them, I'm going to save this, visit the browser, and then here you see that our images are being reordered properly. And this is how you export images from Figma, resize them proportionately, and add it to your HTML CSS. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more design tips and tutorials, and let me know what you think in the comments down below.